Y'all better not come to my funeral with that. MX Bikes is a hardcore realistic simulator. Fake shit. MX Bikes hasn't been a simulator for like a minute. But I told y'all dudes, I'm in it for the long haul. What's up? MX Bikes versus MX Simulator, aka Arcade Simulator Hybrid versus a full-blown, realistic, hardcore simulator. That's what it really is. I got this Lipton in my cup, boy. I don't give a fuck, boy. Spency boy about to go off on this one. All right. So, MX Bikes and MX Simulator, they get compared all the time, still to this day. Everybody and their grandmama wants to compare the two games. What I'm trying to say, and what I've been saying from day one, is you can't even really compare them because they're two completely different types of motocross games. They're two completely different subgenres of motocross games. A lot of you guys probably expect me to say something like, MX Simulator is just better than MX Bikes, bro. That's not even really what it is. It's not that MX Simulator is better than MX Bikes. It's not that MX Bikes is better than MX Simulator. That's what everybody wants to try to talk about it or discuss it. They try to make it sound like one of them is better than the other one. That's not even really what the argument is here. It's just not. It's not about which one is better than the other one. It's about one of them being a full-blown motocross simulator and one of them being an arcade simulator hybrid or a simcade. That's what the comparison really is. In the exact same way that you can't really say that Reflex is better than MX Simulator, you can't really say that Reflex is better than MX Bikes. You can't really say that MX Bikes is better than Reflex. You see what I'm saying? You just can't cross-compare the shit. It's not like comparing Reflex to like some milestone game or some, MX vs. ATV's worst game, MX vs. ATV's Supercross, all right? Or Supercross, Sooks. It's not like comparing Reflex to those games because when you do that, you're comparing a arcade motocross game to another arcade motocross game. Even though I know some of those milestone games' physics systems are a mobile dirt bike game, it's almost in a whole nother class of itself. It's almost even further arcadey than an arcade moto game, but still yet though, you can compare those things. Right? You can compare Reflex to Legends. You can compare, Unleashed to Untamed. You cannot compare MX Simulator to MX Bikes in that same kind of a way. You just can't do it. And that's not me hating on it. You boys always try to twist that up in some sort of a way like I'm trying to say that MX Bikes is bad because it's not a full-blown simulator. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear about it. And a lot of you guys just don't want to hear that about MX Bikes, but it's the truth, bro. Even a lot of the big MX Bikes content creators are now starting to admit that there are certainly some arcadey elements to the physics of MX Bikes, and it really is more of a hybrid style motocross game. That's why they're going and making Motocross the game that's supposedly supposed to be a full-blown, hardcore, hyper-realistic simulator. That's quite literally the whole reason why they're doing that, because MX Bikes is an arcade simulator hybrid. It's completely okay that MX Bikes is not a full-blown simulator. Trust me, bro. It's completely okay that MX Bikes is an arcade simulator hybrid. I actually like that fact about it because it separates it. It actually makes it something different than MX Simulator is. And I'm not tea-sipping bullshitting you when I say that. It's cool that MX Bikes is something different in that sense because it gives the motocross player base an entirely different type of motocross game to experience. And what I mean by that is, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that come from arcade motocross gaming, like Reflex or one of the Milestone games or something, and they don't want to step all the way into a full-blown, hardcore, realistic flip over every time you go through the whoops and fall over in every corner, you know, absolutely brutally difficult motocross simulator. And MX Bikes really gives them that avenue, that sort of in between the two worlds of the arcade motocross gaming and the full-blown simulator motocross gaming. I'm not saying don't play MX Bikes. I'm not saying any of that. I can totally understand why so many of you guys have gotten into MX Bikes and you really enjoy it. MX Bikes is fun, bro. I'm not trying to deny that. A little throwback to my old school video. Some of y'all old school dudeskies will remember that for sure. But MX Bikes is fun, dude. I'm not, you know, I wouldn't have 420 hours into the game if I didn't like the game. I like MX Bikes. It's a great game. It's not me hating on it in any kind of a way. See, the problem has never been with MX Bikes itself. That's never been the problem here. It's never been the you know, MX Bikes, the game itself. That's never been my issue with it. It's all these goofy ass dudes that try to make MX Bikes seem like it's something that it's not. That's what I've had a problem with from day one. So if you're not one of those dudes that's out there trying to claim that, bro, MX Bikes is the most realistic motocross simulator that you've ever played in your life, dude. You gotta play this game, dude. Oh my god, it's so realistic. There's nothing else out there like it. It is the most realistic, hardcore, next level motocross simulator era of motocross gaming, bro. If you're not one of them kind of dudes saying that, I don't have any problem with you at all. You're just playing the game that you want to play and you're enjoying it. Bro, that's what it's all about. And let me just say this. If there was no MX Simulator, MX Bikes would be my motherfucking jam. I mean, it would be my game. So, I'm just saying, that's what it all comes down to for me, is it's like the fact that there is an MX Simulator and there is a motocross game that is that difficult and has that much inertia to the bike and that much of a physical feeling to it. I've just never played a motocross game that gives me that same physical feeling. I know it sounds crazy talking about physical feeling in a video game, but if I have ever felt that in a motocross game, it is MX Simulator. MX Bikes to me feels like you've got that, you know, 6 or 9 inch layer of a arcadey cloud underneath your bike the whole time you're riding around a track. Okay, the bike just does not react. It doesn't have the same weight and the same gravitational pull. And you can see all this if you'll actually get out of the first-person camera and you start looking at the actual physics and the way the bike's moving around in third person or free cam or something like that. See, that's really where you get to the devils in the details. Okay, that's really where you start to see it. But a lot of you guys get tricked up because you come across MX Bikes in first person and it has a more updated first person camera setting, you know, and it really looks like that helmet cami style footage. And, you don't realize the actual physics and the way that bike is actually moving around is entirely different than what it's making you think whenever you're playing the game in first person. The whips are just not even comparable. They look super realistic in first person on MX bikes, but the second you start actually looking at them in third person compared to MX Simulator's whips, there's just no comparison. MX Simulator is so much more realistic. Just the way the bike goes over whoops or roughness, the way the suspension works going over that and that inertia of the bike, it's just another level on MX Simulator. Way back in the day, somebody left a comment that was the perfect example of what this is, the perfect description of what this is right here. So they said something along the lines of MX Bikes is an artist representation of what it would be like to ride a real-life dirt bike, whereas MX Simulator is more like actually riding a real-life dirt bike. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like MX Bikes is trying to make it looks more like you're riding a real-life dirt bike, but MX Simulator feels more like you're riding a real-life dirt bike. That's what it really is, but it's hard for a lot of you guys to understand that because of how different the first-person cameras are between the two games and how different the graphics are between the two games. It's as if you just don't want to play MX Simulator because it's either too difficult, you think it looks too bad, or whatever the case may be, so it's just easier for you to be like, well, I'm just going to hop on this new motocross game and then act like this is actually the full-blown simulator, even though it's really not. A lot of you guys, you're actually bullshitting yourself and you know it. Now, I'll admit, even when I go from playing MX Bikes to going back to playing MX Simulator, it feels kind of weird at first. It'll feel kind of clunky at first because of the difference in the cameras, but when you start to play MX Simulator again, you actually get back into it, it don't take very long to realize, holy shit, this is actually the motocross simulator. MX Simulator is the only motocross simulator.